Morning, everybody. My name is Francisco. I'm from Energy Cities, and I'm working and participating in the Smart Cities project Smarter Together. I'm the replication lead, and I'm dealing with all the activities in what regards the replication of the Smart Cities activities in the former cities of Venice, Santiago de Compostela, and Sofia, and also within the lighthouse cities and in the cities outside in other regions and territories outside the project area. I'm very happy to have here today with you Jana Hann, and she will give you an overview and the learnings and describe also the goals and objectives that were behind the implementation of the mobile living lab and how was the involvement of the citizens from the district area of Simmering. So Jana works for the City Renewal organization from the city of Vienna. And Vienna is one of the lighthouse cities from the Smarter Together project, together with Munich and Lyon. And the district area and the implementation area that was chosen in Vienna is the area of Simmering. Jana Hann works for some time in Simmering, and she's involved in this urban and mobile living lab that is called the SIMmobil. We are going to learn how this instrument or this tool was key to the public engagement and to the implementation of the measures and the solutions, smart city solutions in the district of Simmering in Vienna. So I will give the floor in 2 minutes to Jana Hann. First, Jana, can you just turn off your microphone? Because I think I'm listening to you right now. Just while I just finish this briefing. Thank you. We are having now for half an hour, 40 minutes, the presentation of Jana Hann. And afterwards, we'll have a session, and I'll give you to all the audience to have the possibility to put some questions to the presenter. You have two options to put questions. So you can raise your hand. For instance, you can raise your hand, and then I'll open up your microphone, and you put the question directly to Jana. Or you can write on the questions tab. You have questions in your window from this GoToWebinar, and you can write down your question, and Jana also can go through the questions. So that's this. Another important information is that this webinar will be recorded, is going to be recorded, and the presentations will be made available after this webinar, and so you can have and can see and can watch and can share this presentation with others and in your organizations. So I'll give now the floor to Jana. Welcome, Jana, here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Francisco. So yes, thank you for the introduction and also to the invitation to do this webinar today. My presentation will focus on the Urban Living Lab we've implemented and functions as a local communication platform in the project area of Smarter Together. So I just started. So Francisco already introduced me, but just I'm a landscape and spatial planner and a staff member of the Urban Renewal Office in Vienna. And on behalf of the City of Vienna, Municipal Department MA25, we are responsible for the implementation and coordination of the Smarter Together Urban Living Lab and also the local collaborations. So the Urban Renewal offices provide an unbureaucratic information for free and also counseling regarding issues related to housing, housing environment, infrastructure, and urban renewal, and also on living together in the city. So until the end of last year, we also had an office location in Simmering in the project area, and now we are still regularly in the area, also with the Urban Living Lab. So I will start with a short introduction of Smarter Together and Smart City in Vienna and give you an overview of the citizen engagement activities as a whole. And then I especially go into details at first about the characteristics of the project area, which is an important background information, I think, to understand our approach on the Urban Living Lab and the communications platform. And after that, I will go into detail about the SIMmobil and end up with some lessons learned, and then there will be time for some Q&A. So in Vienna, the Smart City Framework Strategy was adopted by the City Council in 2014, and the strategy defines goals for the development of a city that assigns priority to and interlink the issues of energy, mobility, buildings and infrastructure, and it has a 1 meter goal defined for 2050, that is the best quality of life for all inhabitants of Vienna while minimizing the consumption of resources. And this will be realized through comprehensive innovation. A high and socially balanced quality of life is one important premise of this Smart City Framework Strategy. So social inclusion and with that also citizen engagement are key aspects of it. And this meter goal can, of course, only be reached together. So the principle of the framework strategy lies in its holistic approach, which also applies to the project Smarter Together, where it is about social and technical innovations for a livable city. So it's all about new forms of action, coordination for politics, administration, and co-creation for the citizens of Vienna. So as I already mentioned, the Urban Renewal Office, the Gebietsbetreuung Stadterneuerung, you see it with the orange logo and the yellow cycle. We are responsible for the local Urban Living Lab and the local collaborations, as well as the consultation on participation for the project partners. The activities and program at the Urban Living Lab and also the program for other collaborations such as street events in Simmering and so on are designed in close consultation with the project partners. And the topics we have at the SIMmobil are primarily mobility, infrastructure, and energy. And the co-design processes with tenants and the information of tenants for the Smarter Together refurbishment projects are managed by 2 other organizations. So one is Wohnbund Consult. Wohnbund Consult are responsible for the co-design processes of the e-car sharing implemented at the residential complex Haufgasse and also for the information of the tenants at Haufgasse and at the social communal housings Herbertgasse and Lorstrasse, which are also being refurbished in course of Smarter Together. Vienna Housing and the Wohnpartners are responsible. So at the SIMmobil, we don't have the focus on information of the tenants. This is done by Wohnbund Consult and Vienna Housing. So now I want to talk a little bit about the project area in Simmering and about the main challenges and characteristics of this area in context of smart city and citizen engagement, because in my opinion, it is really important to understand our approach of the Urban Living Lab. So Vienna, as you might know, is a growing city, and growth, of course, doesn't only affect areas which aren't already built up, but also the existing built up areas like the project area of Simmering. So it is expected that in 2034, 15% more people will live in Vienna than in 2014. So in 20 years, 15% is quite a lot. And the project area of Smarter Together is, as already mentioned, in Simmering, in the southeast of Vienna. It is a former suburb of Vienna and developed into a more urban district over the last century, especially from the 1920s on. But still, the peripheral areas of Simmering have parts which are used agriculturally. So it is an area where change happened a lot over the last century or the last decades. And since 2000, since the year 2000, the center of Simmering is also connected by a metro line, so it only takes about 10 to 15 minutes to the city center. So it is more central than you might expect. So the structure of the project area, which is in the central part of Simmering, is quite mixed. For us, this area is a reference area for implementing innovations in an already built up area. The area has around 20,000 inhabitants, and the housing structure is very mixed. So there are block structures from the Gründerzeit area, but especially a lot of residential buildings of the interwar and post-war period. And on the map, you can see the purple areas are in industrial use. So it's quite a mixed structure of use as well. So the project area also has a lot of barriers, spatial barriers. So the residents who live there don't see it as one, as we call it, Kretzel, as one neighborhood. So one big barrier is the main railway road, which goes from north to south through this project area. You can see it on the map. So there you can also see a picture of the project area. The big street you see on the right side is the main shopping street, the Simmeringer Hauptstraße, and on the left-hand side of it is the project area of Smarter Together. I don't want to go too far into detail about the social structure of the area, but I just want to give you a bit of an impression. So I also don't show any numbers. So the area could be described as a disadvantaged neighborhood. And I don't really actually like this term because it's always quite stigmatizing. But if we look at the socioeconomic structure, we see that, for example, the level of education is far below average of Vienna. I think there are only 3% academics. The unemployment is clear above average, and there's also a high percentage of people with migration background. I think it's more than 35%. So in this area, especially affordable housing, affordable living is a very big topic. So for the citizen engagement processes, the key questions and challenges were, on the one hand, how to communicate smart city innovations and change in an already built up area like Simmering, where change has been a big topic already for the past years, because the older generation who lived there since their childhood, they know many parts of Simmering as suburb areas. So the topic of change starts way earlier than with the start of smart innovations we are trying to implement. And for many people, this change that happened over the last century is also combined with experiences of top-down processes. So it's a lot about showing what doing it together today means, and to overcome this skepticism towards change. Another question for us was how to reach the citizens of this disadvantaged neighborhood and involve them in those processes. Especially smart city is a difficult topic, I think, for everyone. If you ask yourself the question of what does smart city mean, I think a lot of people of you can't really answer it in one sentence. And so it is quite a challenge for us to transport those smart topics to everyday life, to showing the connection between everyday actions and urban development, to reduce complexity and at the same time communicate this complexity, communicate the holistic approach of smart city as we see it in Vienna. So for the concept of Vienna's Urban Living Lab, we thought we actually need directly there where the people are. It has to be an outdoor solution in public space to get in contact with the citizens on their daily routes, which is, I think, especially necessary in context of the socioeconomic and also the spatial structure of the area. We want a platform with whom we make the project visible and also tangible by the activities we offer. So we designed a mobile communications platform where information, consultation, also co-creation activities can take place. And what came out of it was this SIMmobil. It's a mobile vehicle. It is in action since 2016, and it makes stops at different places in the project area. And if possible, it also stops directly where the demonstration actions are happening. It is managed by a multilingual team of the Urban Renewal Office. And in 2017, we had more than, I think, 1,500 talks with visitors who came to the SIMmobil. So now I will go a little bit more into the detail about the activities we offer at the SIMmobil, about the different programs we have. So we use the SIMmobil as a test area, as a lab. We try out diverse formats, programs, and methods for this broad target group, which is the residents of Simmering. And we are always trying out what works and what isn't. So even though we understand it as this lab for trying out different methods, it is crucial that the message and information we offer is always clear. So that's also why the exchange of information with project partners is very important for the team who is on site at the SIMmobil. So on the level of information, which is the main focus of the SIMmobil, we not only inform about demonstration actions, but we also give consultation and information about other smart topics, for example, urban gardening, or in general energy consumption in the household, so topics that help to create awareness for smart topics for a sustainable lifestyle. So the formats we have are quite diverse. We have outdoor exhibitions, we have expert talks where we invite the project partners to the SIMmobil to get in direct contact with the citizens. We have workshops. For example, one thing that works really well is a do-it-yourself bicycle workshop, where the people get a bicycle repaired, their bicycle repaired free of charge, and the people are also showing the visitors how to make small repairs by themselves. So for this area, which is where there are a lot of people with low incomes, this is a good way to support people to ride a bike. And another format is, for example, guided tours we are doing in the project area. Another format we have at the SIMmobil is called SIMmobil Kids. It's a format for kids and teenagers which are also a target group of special importance for us. We try to convey smart topics in a very playful way. For example, the topic energy, where we have a quiz about energy consumption, or we have also an energy bike where kids ride the bike and they can charge their phone by producing electricity with the bike. So they also see how much energy it needs to charge your phone. And of course, we also have co-creation and consultation activities for the specific projects of Smarter Together happening at the SIMmobil. So, for example, the SIMmobil was located in front of the school Engplatz. This school will get a new zero energy gym, and also they got some solar benches, for example, and some refurbishment is also done. So there, on the one hand, we've informed the students, the teachers, and the staff of the school about the implementation project at the school, but we also collected ideas on how the new schoolyard they will get because of the zero energy gym that is going to be built, how this schoolyard should look like and what it should offer. And there were around 300 kids who participated, and the collection of these ideas was also shown at the SIMmobil, and it showed the need for a flexibility of use, and of course a great request for sport activities outdoors, especially not only football was a big topic. And also they had a lot of ideas about the everyday school life, and the results were relevant for the planners were given on to them, and other ideas about the school life were given on to the headmaster and the headmistress. And of course, there were also a lot of ideas which are just unrealistic, but it is important to talk about those and make the students understand what is possible and what isn't, and why it isn't. So it's a lot about knowledge transfer and about showing how a city, how development, how refurbishment works. And another event with the co-creation we had for the e-bike sharing stations, which are implemented in the project area. One of the e-bike sharing stations is already in action. So in 2016, people could test different models of bikes and give suggestions on the future location of the stations, on the modalities, and how to rent it. So we've learned a lot about the user's needs. For example, the most people would like to rent it only for leisure activities, but on the other hand, there's a big interest for cargo bikes, like to transport heavy things, especially for people who don't have a car. So this event was planned in an intensive exchange with the project partners, SciCube, who is the provider of the e-bike sharing. And now, as I mentioned, the first e-bike sharing in Simmering opened already in the beginning of May and is quite a success. And we also have a cargo bike which people can rent for free at the Renewal office and also at the SIMmobil when it's open. So the concept of the SIMmobil is that it also functions as an open platform, like a communication hub in public space, in the sense that it can be used by local stakeholders or multipliers, for example, so that they can get in contact with locals or with target groups that are usually also for them hard to reach. So, for example, Science Pool also uses the SIMmobil. Science Pool is an association located in Simmering that aims to make science interesting for kids and teenagers and to support creative thinking and independent work. And at the SIMmobil, they make experience with kids on the topics of mobility, emissions, and energy. So, for example, they are planning transport systems. They make experience with carbon dioxide. They are building flashlights and so on. And in collaboration with Smarter Together, Science Pool also offers interactive workshops in schools for free, which is great, does it? So it's free for the students, which is also a really good thing, and which the schools really like. So I'm already coming to an end of my presentation, but I just want to finish it up with a project that was a really big success for us. It's called Beat the Street. So from the beginning on, we knew that especially smart or active mobility is a very difficult topic, because changing people's everyday patterns of behavior, changing the mobility behavior they may had for decades isn't easy. It's quite a challenge. So it is not only about offering environmentally friendly mobility. You really have to argue on various levels, and you have to really motivate people to active mobility. So Beat the Street is a competition on active mobility with quite a simple concept. The goal is that people make more daily routes by foot or using the bike. And with the chip, people could collect virtual points at 50 boxes that were installed in the project area of Smarter Together. And they can collect those points by walking there or taking a bike. And those boxes, one box, for example, was also installed at the SIMmobil. So the SIMmobil was also like a point of interest, which also helped us to reach also some new target groups. And the more the people walked, the more points they got. So this project was especially for schools, but everyone could be part of it. And the schools, they competed against each other. And with, I think, around 6,000 participants who walked around 80,000 kilometers in 4 weeks, the project was really a huge success we didn't expect at all. So if you want to know more about this great project, you can also have a look on our website. So the SIMmobil is in action since 2016, so it was already possible to draw some conclusions, with whom I want to end my presentation. So all in all, you can say that face-to-face and the solution in public space to get in contact with people and discuss these difficult topics of smart city is a really good method to attract especially those hard-to-reach groups. And it really helps to build also trust and confidence, which is especially important if it is about change, like in this project area. But of course, it also means that face-to-face is quite a resource-intensive thing, and it takes quite a lot of time. Another thing is that to discuss smart topics and change of behaviors to a more sustainable lifestyle, you need to really argue on various lines of argument. You need to argue on various lines. You need to motivate people. You really need to show what is attractive about it. And we are really trying all the time very, very different things. So with the SIMmobil, which is like the urban living lab, we've learned that there's no need to fear trying out new ways, like new methods and so on, because it's about using this urban living lab as what it is supposed to be, a lab, but at the same time have a clear message and a broad basis of information is crucial. So you can really destroy a lot by giving false information. So you can try out new ways, like with methods and so on, but at the same time always have a clear message on what you want to give on to the visitors. Another thing is that the involvement of an already established local institution, like here with the Renewal offices, who are partners for the Living Lab, and also to involve local institutions as multipliers, like as I mentioned, the science pool, or for example, we also had local street workers involved, or the local community college that can really help to reach specific target groups you wouldn't reach in other ways. And one thing that is, of course, very important is that the commitment of the project partners to participation is something very important, and it is important that this commitment is there from the beginning on, even before going into the concept of implementing it. So it's not only for setting up the process in the right way, but also to have the partners actively involved in the participation processes itself. And of course, also their time is an issue. So co-creation does always mean also a change of the usual process. So you need to give it more time. So yes, these are just some learnings we had with the SIMmobil. So yes, I hope I could give you a little insight on our approach and the Urban Living Lab in Vienna. I think this webinar concept is quite new to me. I hope it worked. And I think it's a great opportunity to get together, of sharing experiences. And yes, with this in mind, let's move on together. If you want more information on the project, on the activities we have at the SIMmobil and so on, visit our website. And yes, I'm awaiting your questions, and I'm also interested in your experiences, ideas and approaches. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jana, for this very good presentation. So you did half an hour like planned, so very good, very well planned. Now I will invite, I have some questions, but I think it's better to give the floor now to the attendees. There are already a couple of questions. I'm just going to recall two important informations. First, that you can make now the questions. We have time for you to make questions. So you have two ways of putting questions. So you can either raise your hand and I will give you the microphone, or you can write down on the questions pane like already some people already have done. The second thing I would like to raise you is that this presentation will be maybe in the end of the day or maybe tomorrow available online, both in the website of the Smarter Together project and in the website of Energy Cities. So let's now move to the questions. And we have already 3 questions in the pane, but Bruno also raised the hand. Bruno, may I give you the microphone, maybe? Bruno Guedon. Or you want me to ask the question? Bruno, I don't know. So maybe he doesn't have access to the microphone.
Okay.
So maybe I'll try someone before going to the pane. I think it's better to raise. I don't know if Christine Downey, she also has a question. I'll open her microphone. Hello, Christine. Christine Downey from Glasgow. So maybe I'll read the questions is better. So it would be better if the people could speak, but okay, let's move to the questions pane, and I'll put the questions, or you can read the questions if you want, Jana, and answer. So you can click on the window.
Okay.
Of the questions, and you open, and the window will pop up.
Okay.
And could you see it or not?
Oh, no, it was too small. Okay, so the first question was by
Cristina
Bruno.
Paju. No, there is one before. Are there any brownfield sites also in the pilot area?
Yes, actually there used to be 2 brownfield sites, but they are already built up, like there are already some housing projects. One that is already finished, which was a former industrial site, and another one as well, but they are already, I think the one is people already living in there. So yes, there are. So as I said, it's an area of change, and where a lot of change happened, especially in the last century, but also in the last decade, there was a lot of change going on.
Second question from Bruno Guédon from the ESPOL, from the city of Lyon. They are also Lighthouse City in the Smarter Together project. So, dear Jana, are there any plans of the city of Vienna to replicate the SIMmobil concept elsewhere in Vienna?
Actually, there are already several similar projects. I think there are a lot of different institutions. Also, the Gebietsbetreuung Stadterneuerung, the Renewal office had projects similar to that. They used it for different kinds of information as well on ongoing urban developments, for example. So there are also, I think, a lot of people doing that, and I think in Smarter Together, actually, I think Venice now also has a similar concept. They have like a bus, I think, they use to get in contact with citizens.
Thank you. Third question, so from Christine Downey from the city of Glasgow. So really interesting project. I work on the Horizon 2020 ruggedized project in the city of Glasgow, and we have no budget for citizen engagement. I was wondering, how the SIMmobil was funded?
The SIMmobil was funded by the Smarter Together budget. So we are the Renewal offices are subcontractors to the city of Vienna, and the budget is coming from Smarter Together. So there was really in Vienna, there really is this focus in Smarter Together on citizen engagement, and I think they put quite a lot of, you need a lot of budget, especially for doing something like the SIMmobil, where you are on site, like now we are on site for 4 months, 2 days a week. So this is especially a lot of people you need to get this SIMmobil going. So.
So I understand, Jana, that the cost of the, how do you call, the van or the roulotte or the trailer is just one small part of it, right?
Yes,
and
it's a small part of it, yes.
Can you maybe estimate the resources like that you normally need? So how many staff members are you putting? So this kind of effort is needed. Maybe you could also, for you, how do you use it? So we have the which work is needed. So how many people are involved, how long is the work that they have to do before, after the preparation, and yeah. So I don't know. This, I think it's also useful for people to know what is involved in the preparation of such.
So actually, to do this concept of the SIMmobil, we had about, I think, good half year time to do it, and we did it in consultation with the project partners, also to find out their needs for the citizen engagement, for the information of the citizens. So I think it was half a year for the concept, and now it is in action since autumn 2016. So all in all, we have like 2.5 years where the SIMmobil is, let's say, on the road. So it's there 4 months at a year, open 2 days a week, and the SIMmobil team consists of 5 people. So there are always 2 people on site at the SIMmobil, and so we are always changing a bit. And me and one colleague are coordinating the SIMmobil and also doing all the consultation and the exchange with the project partners, which also takes quite a lot of time, especially also with we are also focusing on the collaborations with local institutions, which is which also sometimes takes quite a lot of time, because it's not that easy to get those institutions involved, because they all have their own programs. They all have, of course, limited budget as well, limited time frames. So that also takes quite a lot of time.
Okay.
Yes.
Next question from Benjamin Stelzler. How many participants did work together in the co-creation activities?
That's a difficult question, because of course there are some co-creation activities happened at the SIMmobil. So for example, for the e-bike testing I've explained, we were in contact and in consultation with the project partner Cycube, who is the provider of the e-bike sharing, and the e-bike testing. I think there were about 45 people involved. So e-bike testing is one example, with the consultation for the school, like the collection of the ideas for the schoolyard. We had around 300 participants, and like most of the co-creation activities are specialized on the topic of refurbishment. So these are done by Wohnbund Consult and Vienna Housing. So I don't have any numbers on that, but they're doing quite a lot of workshops on information evenings and so on. So there's also quite an intensive exchange with the tenants.
Considering the specifics from the population and the citizens in the Simmering area, so the demonstration zone that you're using in Vienna, can you name one lesson learned that you wouldn't repeat in the future, and one that you would in fact do it? So name one that you wouldn't do it again because it didn't work and it failed completely, and another one that you really would like to do it because it's a huge success, and say why.
So I think one thing we learned, like right from at the beginning, I think, was that we had on the one hand this concept of the SIMmobil, which was like more a long-term concept of being in public space, like for over quite long period of time, but we had a lot of events happening just on one day. Like we planned bigger events, for example. We had something where we invited some experts to give some consultation about energy consumption and for people to understand, for example, their electricity and gas bills. So we invited them here and we promoted it quite a lot, and thought, well, we're going to be a big success, and a lot of people will be interested in that, but it didn't work out at all. So it showed us that as I mentioned, this difficulty with this complex topic of smart city, and with topics who are not important, like the topic of lifestyle, of sustainable lifestyle. Lifestyle is something that isn't important for a lot of people from the beginning on, because they don't see what it all affects. And so yes, it was difficult to have this one-day events that didn't work at all, but then we moved on to doing like smaller events, to being like on-site, to offering events like on more days. So because the SIMmobil, the people who come there, they don't come specifically just to go to the SIMmobil. They are passing by when they are going to the shopping or doing shopping or whatever. So these one-day big events didn't help them much, but being on site, like really for a long period of time, really helps. And that's actually something I would do again when I have the resources in the same way, because especially to gain trust of the people, and it really helps, and also to really implement the SIMmobil as let's say as a trademark. That really helps. And one thing I think we would do again, and we hopefully will do it again this year, was this project Beat the Street, this competition on active mobility, which worked really well, and we were really surprised about it. And yes, that's definitely something we will do again.
So I'll invite you for the very last question. I don't know if there will be some. The time is running out. So maybe we can conclude, Jana. I don't know if you want to add something that you forgot to say or that you would like to add. I think you also, people will send you emails also if we'll have some question that will that the audience will have maybe in the future. I think you will be also available for answering and give some nice advices.
Of course. I think I'm not the only one who can give advices. I think it's great to share like our experiences. And yes, it was this half an hour time to explain a bit what we are doing, but I think there's a lot more we can exchange. And please visit our website. Bojan is doing a really great job, so there are a lot of informations you can find there. And of course, if you have any more questions, you can always write me an email. I'm happy to answer them, and I hope it was interesting for you as well. And yes, thank you very much.
Okay, Jana, thank you so much. I will conclude this webinar. I want to thank you all for joining us this morning. And on behalf of the Smarter Together project, I also want to thank Jana for preparing this presentation and to being here with us today. Um, so this webinar will be available online, so the streaming will be available on the end of the day or tomorrow, so you'll have the opportunity to watch it again. And Jana will be, of course, available for further questions if you have some. So thank you for joining, and we'll keep in touch for next webinars and events on Smarter Together. Thank you.